Yo, what's good? It's your boy Jay.
I'm your boy Dre.
And welcome to the Jay and Dre Show. We have a topic that's been much discussed, much politicized, and much debated. The black community and their relationship with law enforcement.
Yes.
I'm going to let you start, Dre. My question to you is this. Basically, what do you think are the main problems? Do you think there's a problem? And if there are, what are the ways that we can solve those and better amend the relationship per se?
I would admit that there's a problem, and I feel that this probably is going to be a little bit unpopular, but there's a little bit of a problem on both sides as well. In terms of law enforcement, I do feel that, especially in recent, some very high-profile shootings, particularly of unarmed black men, there's a deep mistrust of the police, which in the black communities, in the black African American communities, always in a sense been there, but especially now that you have body cameras and a lot of these people getting away scot-free, especially like the guy that the lady shot him. She didn't even. He was going to the SUV. He wasn't doing anything. He just turned around. Lady shot him. There's various cases like Philando Castillo says, he tells the guy, I have a weapons permit. I wish you could see that body cam because dude just said stop reaching. Philando, you hear him saying several times, I'm not reaching for anything. I'm not reaching. He unloads on him. And you can go for case after case after case. There's so many where the names and details are starting to run together and makes it very difficult to recollect, which is a problem. I don't feel that people should feel unsafe in America, particularly when you have the police force, which is supposed to serve and protect. It kind of goes back a little bit to the video. One of the aspects of political power with the problems of black America, plug for the last video, is, no, seriously, like one of those things is, if you feel that you really are being policed unfairly, if you have political power, you can go to your city councilman or whatever your local government legislature is and say, hey, we don't feel we're being equally treated. And if it's equitable, a lot of times, hey, you know what? We can set up a whole other precinct to patrol these districts of the town that are being affected and having this complaint. And we can try to staff it with more individuals from this part of the town. That way, the police are more familiar with the individuals. There's less distrust. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know any of the police in Augusta. I've seen the blue light, especially with the steroid scandal that was had in Augusta. Like, I saw blue lights a couple times for where they pulled me over, for like headlight out. Like, my heart drops. But when I get pulled over in Varnville and I see Mr. Tyrone get out of the car, I'm like, oh man, it's real. If I see Scott come out the car, it's like, oh, hey, what's going on? How can what I do wrong? And there's a relationship there. There's a familiarity there. There's a comfortableness there, and that's what I feel is missing. And where I feel like the problem is on the civilian side, though, is a lack of understanding of the law.
It's true, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no such thing as an unlawful arrest.
No, it's such thing as unlawful arrest.
I mean, in the moment, there's no way for you to push back on the cop that's arresting you. Once you've been placed under arrest, there's no procedure, there's no legal mechanism from which you can avert the arrest on your end. You have to fight it on the back end.
Yeah, once you put the handcuffs on you, that's it.
Yeah. So
that's it. Once you tell you under arrest, really, that's it.
Yeah. So there needs to be the understanding that, hey, if somebody really did plant something on me, if somebody really is trying to screw me over, I'm not gonna fight. I can't really effectively fight this.
It's called being dead right.
Yeah.
It's called, and this is going to be even more unpopular. It reminds me, and I already know what people who see this they're going to go the nice and friendly Negro, this, and that. But man, you can call it what you want to call it, the truth. It reminds me of the Eric Garner situation. And I spoke with one of my other family members. He's in his 60s. And I asked him, what did you think about this video? He said, he's dead right. I asked him, what do you mean? He said, man, if police approach you and tell you, put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest, just do it. And it's cases out there. Let me clarify. It's been cases out there where the person complied and something still went wrong and they were killed. I'm not saying that every time our minority or black male was shot that it makes them therefore they didn't listen. But what I am saying that majority of the cases, if you want to be factual and real about the matter, if the person just was quiet and said, go ahead and do what you have to do, it wouldn't have ended the way it did. And the person might have been right. They might have been right. Why are you arresting me? This is improper arrest. But at the end of the day, being right and being dead ain't worth 2 cents, man. Not believing that. But from my viewpoint, it's definitely a problem on both sides. I work corrections. It's a branch of law enforcement. And I will say that I'm going to start with in the Afro-American community. Number one, look at Ferguson, right? Ferguson is a great it's a great case study on the problem. Ferguson had elected officials in a town that was mostly African American, yet still the law enforcement officials were white. And not saying that white people can't police black people and black people can't police white people, but I am saying that if you have this problem, you have such a problem with this police agency, why won't you vote and use your political power to put people in power that you trust? It's absolutely ludicrous, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Know the law. I hear people on videos all the time. They could have just shot him in the leg. Why did he shoot him so many times? Man, as a law enforcement officer, you are trained. Once you start shooting, you keep shooting until the threat is neutralized. I can shoot you in your legs in cases where people were shot 10, 11 times and still grab the gun, shot the officer or shot anybody. This happens every day. So if you're going to come with the officer should act like this, what I'm saying is know what you're talking about. I'm going. Number two, also is, in my opinion, man, we have a perception, and our perception is this: fuck the police. When I say we, it's not mine, but just the Afro-American community. It's a perception. Fuck the police. Excuse my language, but that's the wording that's often used. And I'm gonna get to it. I understand why that's the perception, but that perception doesn't help the problem. I don't care if you're gonna live in America, right? If you're gonna live in this state, you're gonna live in America, you're gonna live in the territory of America, you're gonna have law enforcement officers around. So saying F the police is ludicrous and it's stupid. What you should do is what you hit at earlier. You should say, you know what? I have to deal with the police because the police are an integral part of our society. So what I need to do is either get people from our community to police this community or demand that the people policing this community have interactions with the community. We're from a small town. I never had a perception of a true negative perception of law enforcement. Why? This is why. Whether they were white, whether they were black, our community was so small, I knew them. Yeah. So when I was stopped and I got tickets, whatever happened, when I was stopped, I knew who the person was. So I never had I wasn't scared. It wasn't nothing this. I knew them. So we have to put that in our inner cities. Hey, Andre. Hey, Josh. Instead of saying at the police, listen, man, the community gonna come together. We're gonna send you. We're gonna send you to the academy. We want you to come, and we're gonna promote you, and eventually we're gonna make you the chief, the captain, whatever of this community. We're gonna push forward so that not that you can do us any favors, so that we know that you know what's in this community, the people, and what entails and what is happening. You have an inside viewpoint of this community. Now, I've been going on, but I'm really passionate about this topic. It's absolutely ignorance on the law enforcement side of it. I'm tired of hearing law enforcement officers saying that, oh, why we don't, why they don't like the police. We don't know. Listen, man. If you go back and look at the Birmingham Bus Boycotts, when little children were getting sprayed, you did have the fire department did a lot of it, but also, man, it was the police. You had kids going, trying to get into schools, and people wouldn't let them in. They was getting spit on, this, and that. Man, a lot of times you had the police was an integral part of that. Medgar Evers, you had black people in this country have a reason to have a negative viewpoint of law enforcement. So what I'm saying is, try to at least understand. If you can't sympathize, try to at least empathize and understand that there is a perception, and a right so perception, that it is an innate distrust of police by Afro-Americans. We have grandmothers and aunties who never committed a crime, who never said a cuss word, but if a police got behind their car on a dark road, they would grip the wheel so tight their knuckles would turn white. This is fact. So at least try to understand that whether you agree that it's reality or not, the perception is reality. And the perception of a lot of Afro-Americans is we do not trust law enforcement. And that is a bridge that has to be mended.
No, and I would agree with a lot of what you said. On both sides, like I said, one, there's a lack of knowledge on the civilian side. Like I said before, there's no such thing as an unlawful arrest when you're being arrested. Those are things that you have to fight on the backside. Those are things that you have to know. Look, I got to spend my night in jail, but basically, for lack of a better term, I'm going to sue the fuck out of them on the back end. Those are things you have to know how to deal with. I'm not saying that these things are right when they happen to you, but you have to know how to fight. Not everything you can fight with your fist. Not everything you can fight in a moment by saying F you. It's not worth it. You know, the 48 laws of power says conceal your intentions. You know what? They don't have to know that you know what your legal rights are. They don't have to know that you know that this is illegal, what they're doing, if it truly is. Just shut up, go to jail, do your night, get out, and fight on the back end. And if it really is wrong what happened, more often than not, the police department is going to settle with you. One of the biggest expenditures for police departments is settling lawsuit cases.
I'm going to jump in. It's going to be 2 minutes. Going to what he said, I have a family member, a close family member, who was who stopped, and they were detained. And basically it was a misidentification. Long story short, they received a $30,000 lawsuit. And they didn't say anything. They said, you have the wrong person. This is an unlawful stop, unlawful arrest. They didn't say anything. Then once it got corrected, they went and got a lawyer. They received the payout. That's just kind of give credence to what you said. Well, go ahead.
No, and that's exactly how you have to fight such an incident. I mean, when I came of age, I mean, it's kind of sad that me and my father had to have this talk, but I remember when I was 13, the talk me and my pops had, it wasn't about sex. It was about how to deal with the police. It was like, hey, look, man, when certain things happen to you, you can't act like you just pure ignorant and go off and all these things, because what you do when you start to act out is basically you can make an invalid arrest valid by how you act in a moment. Because depending on your reaction, if you become physically combative with the officer, the initial charge may not be good, but hey, if you punch an officer, if you're resisting arrest, you begin to make it where the other charges and things that they can trump up can become valid because of your own actions. So you have to know how to conduct yourself. Now on the police end, the biggest gripe that myself and I'm sure many others have is, all right, just ignoring some of the escalation that occurs on the civilian end from some of these situations, but it's on the police end. It seems like some of these situations get started by the police, get escalated by the police, and the ones that end badly, it's always the same thing. I was in fear for my life, and this is the thing. I know you have a little bit more insight than I do, but the thing of it is, and I'm not saying that's not ever justified, and that some people in certain situations aren't ever truly in fear for their life, but there's certain situations.
You place yourself at, all right,
Like, well, before you cut it, but what I'm getting at is there's certain situations, like, for instance, I believe it's Walter Scott, the man who was running away, and got shot. He got shot in his back. There was another guy, I want to say, in Oklahoma, where they already have identified that this guy is high, and he's out of his mind, so to speak, and all he did was, he has his hands up, and they popped him. And it's like, these people are not posing a danger. If somebody running away from you should not be putting you in fear for your life, especially when their vehicle, they've left their vehicle, like in the case of Walter Scott, and he's running like all hell to get away from you. And that's the biggest gripe that I feel most civilians have against the police, because in every single instance, it seems like if there is an indictment, there is rarely, if ever, a trial that leads to a conviction.
Well, Walter Scott guy, he pled out. He didn't plead out manslaughter, but he did plead out. In law enforcement, man, in the deadly force encounter, there are 3 elements that has to be present: ability, opportunity, and jeopardy. Ability, meaning this person has the ability to kill you, right? Meaning this person has a weapon. This person has me some kind of chokehold, something that's going on where this person has the ability to kill me. Opportunity, meaning they have the opportunity. They're in contact with me. The weapon is within range that they can grab it. They can is easily, readily and accessible. And the other one is jeopardy, meaning that at this point, my life is in jeopardy. I have to do what I have to do to defend myself. Now, what you're talking about reminds me of the Tamir Rice case. And that was the teenage, that was a tragedy. And the officers in that case, in my opinion, and in a lot of opinions of guys who just spoke with the law enforcement, they were wrong, because what they did was, it was a call that somebody had a gun. Now, the dispatcher didn't relate to the officer that the initial call said, I think it's a toy gun, but that was never related to the officer. So his mindset was, I'm encountering a person with the gun, right? But he pulled it to the situation. No cover, up close. So as soon as he saw a toy gun, basically, he created his own jeopardy. That happens a lot. That happens too often. That situation could have been handled if you parked the car, got behind something farther away, got on the get on the ground, this and that, and then when we got close, we could have figured it all out. A lot of times, I will say that some officers create their own jeopardy. Now, going back to my issue earlier, I will say this. Man, I'm tired of the political. You protesting, and anytime there's injustice done to you, you can't use another injustice to say that we should focus on this and not this. This is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is this, man. I'm tired of us getting fired up, and not tired of us getting fired up. What I'm saying is, man, I'm tired of every time I turn on the news, it's 3 or 4 people shot in Savannah, right? But when this person gets shot by the police, we tearing up stuff. This is not a popular argument, and I know that. But I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of Chicago having 600, 700 homicides. I understand that it's not a black on black thing. When you have poor people, you have crime. But at the same time, we're not fools anymore. Okay? We understand the system has placed us at a disadvantage, but the killing, that has to stop. And until we just as fired up about these 30 or 40 men that's truly questionable, I'm not gonna throw it, I don't know the number, but these men that are questionably being killed by law enforcement, until we just as fired up about those 500, 600 young men that were killed in Chicago, those 50, 60 men that are get killed in Savannah, until I'm tired of it, man. And it's ludicrous. And I understand what the other side, how you're rioting, and because it's a questionable shooting, but just Father's Day weekend in Chicago, like 6 or 7 people got shot, and you're not upset about that. Now, the difference is, let me say this to law enforcement. Understand that black people do not get paid not to kill black people. Law enforcement does get paid to police the community fairly. So there is a difference. But at the same time, man, I'm sorry. I'm through with the politically correctness. We need to address that. We need to address gun violence. We need to address gangsterism. We need to address thuggism in our community with the same passion that we address law enforcement. I'm not saying don't address it. What I'm saying is I'm tired of us putting this on the pedestal. When you talking about you scared of the police to get behind you, but your behind won't go out in your neighborhood when the sun go down. And this is fact. Stop being politically correct. Let me say that again. You talk about you scared of this police pulling behind you. You so scared of the boys in blue, all this and that, but you won't walk through the projects in Brooklyn if I gave you $1 million at the midnight. Now that's fact. Until we address both causes, it won't change. That's my opinion, man.
Nah, very well said. Before we wrap it up, the kind of piggyback on your point a little bit, I think what Stalin said encapsulates it perfectly. Stalin said that the death of one or two is a tragedy. The death of many is a statistic.
That's right.
And I mean, I think this is an issue I would like to go a whole lot deeper on. We're a little bit pressed for time. I think this would be one that we definitely probably come back to at some point in the future. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here for the day. I'm your host, Dre.
I'm your boy, Jay.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And follow us at the social media links down below in the description. Peace.
Peace.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me.